Give me my theme music.
Hey, welcome guys, and thank you so much for joining us. We had a little complication in the beginning with our mics. I just want to take the pleasure of introducing Gerald Antoine from European Doberman Stud. It's my great pleasure to introduce him with all his experience and knowledge on the European Doberman, and for taking some time to talking with us today with Dobie Talk. So welcome, Gerald.
Thanks, man. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. I appreciate you coming on today. Sorry about the little complications I had.
Hey, let's say the theme music, right? Now, do you know who that is that said give me my theme music?
Yeah, that was I forget. I forget. He was in the locker room.
Okay.
He was in the locker room.
That's my school. It's Jackson State. That's Deion Sanders.
There you go, Deion Sanders.
Here I go.
And I loved it, man. So I had to use it for our intro. So, but yeah, that's awesome that you recognize that. You know, I always like these motivational speeches and speakers. So yeah, man. So thank you so much for joining us on Dobie Talk. You know, the learning podcast. You know, we're here to try to educate some people on the European Doberman and taking our experiences and our knowledge and trying to educate some people before they get into the breed of the European Doberman. So I do have some initial questions before. I just want to welcome you again. First initial question I'd like to ask you is, Gerald, you know, you've been doing this for a while. And can you tell us a little about your background and how long you've been in the stud service and breeding European Dobermans?
I started in the Doberman game 2010. I was going through a transition in life. I was going through a divorce. I was going through depression, right? And I was at home by myself at that time. And my soon-to-be ex-wife at that time, who's from Belize, and I'll put this in perspective. Belize is a third world country, so it's like they got wild dogs and dingoes and chickens and roosters all in your front yard. So it always surprised me how she didn't want me to have a dog. So with that being said, when she moved out, I said, I'm gonna do what I want to do, right? But I needed something for comfort. And I needed something because I lived in a condo situation where it's my condo, but it doesn't have a backyard, right? So I needed something that had a nice size, but I didn't want a lot of all these 3-inch hairs and 6-inch hairs all around my house like a shepherd would.
Sure.
So my my father, I noticed when he was posting pictures sometime, he had Dobermans. And I said, I always liked the Doberman, but I never really thought about it. So I did my research. There was a breeder here in LA. His name was Bickerstaff. And I knew the name Bickerstaff because his brother was Bernie Bickerstaff, the NBA coach. And we had a good relationship. We talked, bought my first dog. And from that point on, I started realizing there's a difference between American and European. So that's how I started. So I've been in the game 12 years. I've had several mistakes, but I've had several achievements, and I've learned from my mistakes. So I'm here to talk about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you know, another thing is I wanted to talk to you initially was, you know, if someone was interested in getting into the breeding, you know, pet services and getting into the game that we are, what would your advice be to someone that is looking to get into, you know, the breeding services?
Well, I mean, you know, my situation is a little bit unique where I wanted to provide stud service to people who have qualified females. So my thing is, most people who get into the breeding game, I'm not going to say all, but most, when they got a Dobie, they never thought about, I'm a breeder. They got a great pet. and things happen and they progress, then they realize they want to, like, you know what? I love my dog so much. I want to produce dogs just like mine right now. But the situation where people forget that there is a huge difference between showline Dobermans only, showline working, and working, right? And I love the way the Euro Dobermans look, but I also want to have the way the Doberman's supposed to work.
Sure.
And those are the maturation processes that I've had to go through to learn the difference. So um, people get into the Doberman because of the mystique. It's
Yep.
trendy, or they want a protection dog. What's really fucking baffling is that they want a protection dog.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do no protection training. Oh, I don't want them to be, you bought a Corvette. You want a V6 engine? Because it don't come that way.
Sure. Yeah, you got to hone that. You got to hone that protection that's already built into them. So you need to, get that training into them, which I believe. And I think, it will just, take your dog to the next level once, you get the obedience and, all the training that goes along with it, like you said.
To me, I think, and this is my personal opinion, and I stay truth to it. I think when you do protection training, you're really doing obedience training too, because you're teaching a dog how to turn it on and how to turn it off. Because a lot of times when these animals are in that red zone, will they listen to you? Will they turn it off? Will they listen to you while they're in prey drive? Will they still listen to you? And so to me, that's really when obedience really kicks in. And I tell my story to people all the time in regards to why protection training is so important. So, and I've told this before you too, but for our new listeners who never heard, this is a very important story. Alonzo was my first import red male in 2010. He was a house/yard dog, right? Usually when I'm walking him, I take him from the backyard into the house and out the front door versus out of the backyard, period. Even though we had a gate to go through the backyard. And this is after he's been fully trained. He had a brevet already. He had a BH. He's had a CGC, a CGCA, completely dialed in.
Sure.
As I was walking out the front door, and I didn't put a leash on him because I know he listens to me. I was going to put a leash on after we get outside, right? As I walked out the front door, guess who's walking towards the front door?
Who, the mailman?
A black guy. So he was like, oh shit, I'm going to get his ass, right? Sure. And what did the postman do? He runs.
Oh, no.
What did Alonzo do? Run after him. When Alonzo ran after him, all I knew is that we've done this scenario before. So as soon as he ran, I said, Alonzo, couche. Boom.
He dropped. Nice.
Now, had he not been trained, had he bit that postman, however so severe, I would have been sued. I probably had to file bankruptcy. The family would have been chaos because most people who own Dobies ain't calling their homeowners insurance and letting you know I got a Doberman as a pet.
That's right. And that's what we always, try to stress to our clients that get our puppies. It's the most important thing is to put that protection training into them, to get the obedience, because they do come with liabilities if you do not.
I mean, having a dog is a luxury. It's not a requirement unless you see it impaired, right? So it's a luxury to have a dog. But when you do have one, know that they're still animals.
Sure.
And certain things may trigger them. That's why training is always continuous. It's always ongoing. And you never can really finish. You always got to tune them up, because if you notice, if you haven't done obedience with your dog, say in 2 or 3, 4 months, he loses like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Now I got it.
Exact. It takes a little while for them to get reacclimated into it. Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I see it. Now, with that said, What is the standard for you, in your perspective, if someone wanted to, actually come to your breeding service, your stud service, and breed a female with you? What standard, what actually do you look for in a female? Because I know when I initially came to you, you started, breaking it down to me, like, you need these health tests, the DNA tests, you need to do this, you need to do that. What information you can give to our viewers that if they're looking to get their female bred with you, what are you looking for?
Well, the awareness of these Dobermans and the genetic mutation diseases that they can inherit have become very prevalent and known. So that means a lot of these people who call me out, they've already had the necessity, the necessary tests done. So they're doing their due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things they could do to improve the litter, like getting the elbows and hips, or if they're certified after they're 2 years of age, do a Hollister test. Those certain things that can enhance for you as to be knowledgeable about your dog, thus raising the price of the puppy because you've done extensive testing. So
Sure.
for me to be qualified, number one, I like to see some kind of health test, some kind of genetic test, like
Yeah.
have there been VWD or DCM1, DCM2, DM? Have they had their thyroids, blood work done?
Sure.
Those are the things that I would like to see. Do all of them have that? 80 to 90% of them haven't had all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the VWD and the DCM, but they didn't get the
Sure.
DMs, right? So with that being said, this is why I make sure that my studs are clear of all the genetic mutated genes.
Mm-hmm.
So at least if a dog does have 2 copies of DCM1 or 1 copy of DCM2, the puppies may not genetically get it because my dog is thus far clear of those things.
Yeah, it just gives it a better opportunity to have those puppies come out clear. Now, in your perspective, with having the OFA certification on the hips and elbows and other things that you can do, like thyroids and eyes and things like that, does that ensure to have a longer health so our viewers can understand that, nothing is guaranteed in these puppies. Anything can happen in these dogs, So I just want to make sure that the perspective that you have, and the knowledge that you have to share to our viewers, does that like guarantee a longer life?
Let me tell you something. We can't guarantee shit.
Right.
Unfortunately, like Alonzo, he passed away at 10 years of age. He didn't die from DCM1. He didn't die from any of those genetic mutated diseases. He died from kidney cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing's guaranteed, but as a reputable or responsible breeder, all you can do is do the most you can on your dogs.
Yeah.
We make plans all the time, but at the end of the day, God makes the final decision on what
Sure.
will not happen.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that is the ultimate thing that we as pet owners and animal lovers have to understand, that there's a high probability that we will outlive all of the pets that we have in our life.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of these pets, whether they cats, I'm a cat owner too, and dogs, they have done something to us or for us that no human can do. And for me, what my pets have done for me, even during my depression years 12 years ago, is that they stayed consistent.
Mm-hmm.
When I was sad, they were still happy.
Yeah.
When I needed their comfort, they were still there.
100%.
And most humans cannot be consistent throughout their life like an animal can. So that's why as a pet owner, when something's wrong with your dog, because his physical response is not what you're used to 30 days out of 30 days out of a month versus 31 days. It's like, wait, something's wrong. And those are the things that we have to, as pet owners, understand. Nothing's guaranteed. They're going to go to the vet, but more than me and you go to the doctor.
That's 100%, man.
Think about that. They poop wrong, they go on to the vet.
That's
They
right.
cough wrong, they go into the vet. They move slow, they go into the vet. They limp, they go to the vet.
Yeah, when their character changes and and they're treating
They
you a
go,
little different, yeah,
go to the
you
vet.
always worry about that.
When we are limping, when we pooping wrong, when we're not feeling good, we just lay down.
Mhm.
We ain't going to the doctor every time, right?
That's true.
So for me, it's we have to make sure that we are responsible. But again, nothing's guaranteed.
Yep, yep,
Even when I'm providing superior stud service, people ask me all the time, "Well, can you guarantee? What's my guarantee?" Ain't shit guaranteed, right? It's because we can do all the progesterone tests, we
yep.
can do all the sperm count. That don't mean she's gonna take. Mark, you know that. Me and you personally, we bred, and she didn't come pregnant. We
Yep.
can't guarantee it, but what we can do on a contractual basis, if they've done the proper progesterone test and stuff, we can say, hey, next time we breed, I won't charge you. We'll run it back.
Sure,
But
sure, sure, sure.
if somebody's, when people hit me up talking about, well, can you guarantee? I ain't guaranteeing shit. Go to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because.
But we put everything in place to try to make sure that where everything goes right, it will go right.
Facts. So,
Yeah.
and again, when we do, when the puppies are conceived, we're jumping with glee because we know there's a 50% chance that she probably won't get pregnant. Then there's a 50% chance that she probably will.
Sure.
Right. But we make sure that we doing everything we can. And again,
Yeah.
nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah. And now, going into the stud service that you provide, as you being knowledgeable as yourself, when you look for a new stud in your camp or the studs that you have now, at the point of you reaching out to find a breeder, what are you looking for in an actual stud?
Good question. Um, Before I look at pups, I'm looking at the parents. I'm looking at what the parents have personally achieved. I don't want to hear that shit about champion bloodline from great grandparents. Hell, I don't even look like my great grandparents were Frenchmen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like one, right? I don't talk like one. I just have their last name, right?
Sure.
So for me, it's like I look at what the parents like. What have they personally achieved? Now that sets the stage for me. At least one of the parents have to have more than one protection title. They got to have a ZTP or IGP1, both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mom could have an obedience, and she may have one protection title. But I'm looking for what the parents have done. From that point, I let the breeders know that I need to have the most dominant one. I need to have the one that's kicking ass, that's always into fights, that's always taking the food, that's chasing the ball the most, that's taking the ball and running with the ball the most. Those are the things that I want. In order for me to get into that position, Mark, it takes money. So that means that to get the pick of the litter, you have to pay a little bit more so you can be able to pick among all the puppies.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a 50% chance that your pick may be the same pick as the other person.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And for what I do, I'm looking for the most dominant one. Now, does size matter? Size matter, right? But I've seen where the biggest one was the laziest one.
Sure.
So I didn't go for that one. But I do have to have a nice head. The hips got to be big. The muzzle have to be right. And we really can't go by markings because all these puppies are dark when they're young.
Yeah.
And some of them lighten up and some of the light ones get darker.
Sure.
So those are the things that I look for when they're 4 weeks old, 5 weeks old. As they get older and I made my pick, I'm seeing how does he respond to the ball? How does he respond to the rag? How is he around strange people? Is he standoffish? Is he defensive? Those are the things that and I'm going to be honest with you, in this game, I've had several dogs that started out like rock stars, and within 4 or 5 months of their life, so he's not working out. And I'll give you an example. I had Dylan. Dylan is the son of Brody.
Mm-hmm.
It was Brody's last litter. The mom was never really a big worker, but I picked the best one I wanted. Then I imported Casanova. Casanova about a month and a half, 2 months younger than Dylan. And they got along great.
Yeah.
But as they was playing in the backyard, I saw that Casanova was trying to dominate this dog. And he's taking Dylan's food. He's punking him. He's snapping at him, and Dylan's backing down. I said, okay, strike one. Strike one. We're going to see how this works out. And then we started going to Sykesville over there at South Bay Manawa. And Lewis Williams was working at the field at that time. And I noticed how Dylan was chasing the rag with the flirt pole, how he was just chasing it and touching it with his nose. He wasn't trying to like attack it.
Mm-hmm.
I put him up. I bring out Casanova. He's like a fucking pit bull all over that shit. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, let me displace him now to somebody who has a better purpose for him.
Sure.
So I don't incur the cost of food, training, etc., and he don't pan out. And again,
and plus they bond with you longer in life, and it's harder to rehome them, at a later age.
Right.
So yeah, it's difficult. So that's another thing. So seeing the signs that you did see, and also taking them to your trainers, they do evaluations on them.
Right.
Correct. And what type of evaluations do they pretty much look for when they're testing them?
It's just like the case in point. I let Lewis do the flirt pole work with him.
Yeah.
Going around in circles and chasing it. How will he dig in to get that rag? You know how the dog's digging in, trying to get that real quick.
Sure.
Like how's he intensifying?
On the tether.
Right. Is he jumping up in the air and then falling on his ass and getting right back up and chasing it again, no matter what?
Yep.
And when Casanova and Dylan was doing it, Lewis said, Casanova's the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I already made in my mind, I said, you know what? He may be right.
Yeah.
But I want to see what somebody else who had no skin in the game, his perspective. And those are the things. As they get older and the training gets tougher, then I really know what they're made of, right?
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of things I look for, especially when you're actually doing the breeding. I'm looking for, and this is a family channel, but when you're looking for a stud, you want a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk. You want a dog that's going to go in for the kill, no matter if the female likes it or not. Because as a stud service provider, number one, you're not leaving your female at my house and then come back tomorrow. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Your female get hurt, get killed, get lost. It's on me. No, we're going to handle this business for 35, 45 minutes. You're going to take your female and you're going to be going home. Yeah. You're not leaving your dog here. It's not a boarding facility.
Yeah, and you do great service because you do provide vet tech service. So there's always a vet tech always on hand.
That's
right. In a controlled environment. Correct.
Right. So we have William, who's a vet tech, to come over and assist in the breeding. And we put the female in a breeding stand.
Mm-hmm.
The breeding stand secures safety for the female, but also secures safety for the male. And we'll make it happen. He goes in for the kill, stays stuck. When they get stuck, I count.
Yep.
The longer they stay stuck, the more sperm he's releasing, right? And then within the next day, within 2 days, come back, do it one more time.
That's right.
So, and again, still then, nothing's guaranteed. But during that time, I'm loading them up on stud supplements that I get from Animal Revival.
Yep. We use Oxy Stud from Breeder's Choice.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I use that. And I use the powdered substance as well, put in his water, so he's always drinking it too.
Sure.
So, a lot of these things that we can help promote conception. And sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. But, when you do good business and you give people options, then they can't say anything negative because they know, hey, I know couples right now have been trying to have their own child for 5-6 years. They done in vitro, all this other shit, nothing happened.
Yep.
You know, when I was married, my ex-wife, well, we was about to be divorced, but as soon as she had her fibroids removed, boom, 2 months later she got pregnant. Right? So there's always medical situations that go on that will hinder conception, whether it's from the female or the male.
Sure, sure. Now that goes into my another question about, the studs that you provide right now that's in your camp. Now you have Casanova and now you have Bo, right?
But
Now what's the plans that
what
you
that
got?
bow?
You want
What
to put
that,
it up? Let me see if I have it right here. I need to get it.
people need to know who this boy is.
Yes, sir. So, as I'm pulling this up, if anyone has any questions, any of our viewers that have any questions, let us know, and we'll try to answer your questions that you have. Try to keep it on topic that we're talking about. If you want to leave a comment for other questions or other topics, maybe we can do another one of these and go from there. So let me pull this up.
You know, and that's the new logo too. That's him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That says it all right there.
Okay, I have him here. Let's bring him over.
You got 3 screens or 2?
I just bought a larger screen so I can do double screens in one screen and then another screen. So I have 3 screens at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you and then we can actually see it.
Oh, God, that's nasty.
So that's Bo right there, right? And he's at where? South Bay, Maliwa, working with Sykes.
Yeah, that was Sykes right there with the bite suit on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good looking boy.
He's got the battle crop ears, and there's a story behind that too. But I think it fits his personality, man.
Yeah, he's fierce.
Yeah, I know.
And you've been working on him a lot. And again, you just got him titled, correct?
Yeah, I did. I got a CGCA and a CGC on him. And you know, the reason how I came up, Bo is a dog that I rescued from a previous owner and Bo is Brody's son. He's Brody's son, right? And he's Tesla's son. And Tesla was owned by he was owned by a guy, a young boy, maybe 20, Alex, who lives in Pico Rivera. Alex is he's related to El Chapo. And Alex had imported the mom. And the mom came from great breeding stock, like I think it was Pride of Russia.
Yeah.
What sport are you going to do? And so we got a question. That's Kels. And so during the time when El Chapo got arrested the second time around, Alex called me and said, "Hey man, Tesla, I'm willing to sell her to you. Can you come get her?" When I saw her, dude, she was like 60 pounds. She had manes all over her. She had mucus in her eyes. She should have been put down, bro. I mean, she was that fucked up. Like,
wow.
Yeah, she was bad. Manes. She probably had infections all in her body. So I gave him $300, and I said, "I'm gonna do what I can." So I took her to Dog Man, who has a boarding facility, and we had a vet called Green Animal Clinic, which is off of Slauson. And he paid the meds. I reimbursed him, but I paid for the boarding training. I mean, the boarding. So it was like $3,000-$4,000 with all that stuff going on. And then after she got right, she was healthy.
Yeah.
And I gave her to Dog Man, and then we bred her to Brody. And we bred to this lady out in, I forgot where Caesar and his wife is, but out in Bloomington somewhere. And it was like 5 boys and 8 girls. And I was supposed to get pick of the litter because I provided the stud service. I said I didn't want the cash. I just want to get pick of the litter. Keeping in mind, that means that I pick what the fuck I want. She, for some reason, lost all of the males except one. The puppies got Giardia, and they had coccidia, and I was like, she's not taking care of this litter for a woman who's not even working.
Mm-hmm.
Man, these puppies supposed to be looking like little cubs, little bears.
Yeah.
And so she got the puppies right. A friend of mine named Carlos bought the one male. I said, bro, from what I was told, this one is the craziest one. He fights all of his sisters and takes food from them. Just letting you know. He said, I wanna do what you do. I want to rock like what? I want to rock like you. And I was like, I said, bro, I make it look easy, but you ain't seen the hard work.
Sure. Like I always say, the behind the scenes, correct?
You ain't seen none of that. You seeing 10 minutes of clips that we took 3-4 months to get it to that point, right?
Sure.
And his wife had 2 Maltese little Pomeranians or whatever, right? And you know how these little small dogs, they got a big heart. They think they big and bad and shit, and they punking his puppy. And I was like, bro, you letting these Pomeranians take this dog food, he gonna only put up with that shit for so long. You know, you can only beat somebody up for so long before they snap.
Yeah, he's being nice.
Yeah. So at 11 months or 10 months, he got a hold to one of those Pomeranians. And he just ripped the dog all up. And the mom, his wife, she's got like 10-inch nails, $300 a day, $300 a month hairdos. She ain't trying to get all, because big dogs shit big piles of shit.
Yeah.
And she's not used to this. She used the Pomeranians that's putting out pellets like deers, right? And he called me and said, hey, man. I said, I already know what you're going to call me for. I said, yeah, man, I got to get rid of it, man. I'm traveling a lot. You know, he's an electrician. He's a union electrician. Yeah, I'm out of town a lot, blah. I said, I don't want to hear that shit, right? Yeah. Meet me at my office, bring the board, bring his paperwork. So I inherited Bo at 13 months of age.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get it
How did he adjust with you?
Huh?
How did he adjust with you?
He's not a lovey-dovey dog to people, right? You have to earn his trust, and earn his affection. And I had to do that with food. But let's not get it twisted. I mean, we've had our battles. You know, I got the war march to prove it. But I knew that he was one of those dogs that he don't back down, man. I mean, I've seen dogs that bark a lot of shit. I say talk a lot of shit. I said bark a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And try to make you seem like this. No, this dude's trying to get at you. I had to alter my fences in the backyard because he's trying to break through the boards of my gates. I mean, he's an animal, man. He's the kind of dog that when you're out of town and your girls are home by herself, he gonna make sure shit is right.
Sure. Now, as time went on, has he bonded with you more?
Oh yeah, I've had him over 1.5 years, almost 2 years now. So we good. He's my dog.
Nice. Now, you know, if it's okay, I want to show his the title that you just received, correct?
Yeah.
See if we can show this here. So that's something that you initially get your dogs titled in, and there's multiple titles that you can get on a stud or on a dam, correct?
Yes. Okay, so CGC and a CGCA. The CGC stands for Canine Good Citizenship. These are actual obedience titles that AKC recognizes, and they put them on the pedigree. So when people pull the pedigrees of their puppy and Bo's a part of that pedigree, that shows up as an obedience title. And for Bo, having an obedience title, huge.
Yes.
Because protection ain't gonna be no problem. It's when he listened to me when his engine's revved up.
Yeah.
Still, you know.
Will he go down and drop like Alonzo?
Right. That's gonna be the key.
Yes.
And so I'm happy. You know, he's been producing some good puppies, and that's another thing we talked about earlier. You know, sometimes, man, you get studs that are not good producers. And I'm not talking about health. I'm talking about looks. All of my dogs, Casanova, Brody, Bo, and Alonzo, I've bred them to some not so pretty females, and the puppy still came out looking really, really nice. and that's a really good producer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sometimes you can get again, nothing's guaranteed in this game.
Sure.
Sometimes you can get a dog that's all of that in the bag of chips,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't produce. Case in point, we talked about it before. The dog named Hunter. Um, he's a great looking dog, so I'm not going to knock that from him. But he produces, but the ones he produced don't come to the United States. The good ones. If you notice, when you buy an animal from him, he picks your dog for you. He's not sending the best over to the USA.
Uh-huh.
He's keeping the best over there in Turkey, over there in his country.
Yeah.
Right. And for me to give you $8,000, and you tell me you're gonna pick my shit, I'm not good with that.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I've noticed where I've bred my boys to not so pretty females on the outside, but have all the intangibles and the health on the inside, has put out some nice looking puppies.
Well, let me ask you this then, because of your experience and what you're actually looking for in a stud, to our viewers that are maybe a little, uneducated in what they're looking for, do you advise them to go off like videos and things like that, or do you advise them to actually pick personally, around the time that, you can actually choose a puppy after vaccinations and no risk of parvo and things?
You know, well, we got some questions coming in, bro.
Yep. Yeah, I'll take some right after your answer.
Man, there are some great breeders out there, and there's not so great breeders out there, right? And the disadvantage from buying overseas is that you just can't drive over there and bitch and complain.
Yep.
You just can't drive over there and pick them out.
Yeah.
You got to be on the plane 8, 10, 12, 20 hours. And even when you get there, nothing's still guaranteed.
Sure.
My suggestion is, when it comes to your question, you want to get video. You want to get weekly videos. Don't give me no pictures, because I know on selfies, I can take 10 photos. Only one of the 10 looks good. So
angles,
man. You know how motherfuckers be taking pictures like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't take pictures like this. I want to see straight on, man. It's like,
yes,
that's playing this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to see if the breeder, because a lot of them breeders in Eastern Europe, they do a thing called WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Video chat them, right?
That's right.
They go video chat. You can do them like my Rottweiler. I got a Rottie puppy now. And just a little change in the game, but no big plans. But she was going live with me on Facebook to see the puppies in action.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly sending me stuff. And those are the breeders that wanted to go to a good home, but they want to be very transparent on what they have to offer. So my suggestion, if you're going to get a Doberman, figure out what your plans are for the dog. Make sure you have enough yard space, because if you got real grass back there now, you ain't going to have real grass after the puppy's done.
Sure.
Because they tear up yards.
Sure.
So yeah, it's a crapshoot, and nothing's guaranteed still.
Yeah, and and that's again, that's what we pride ourselves here at Nemesis Kennels, that I do daily posts every day, pretty much on our dogs or our puppies, when I do have them, and to show our clients, what they're looking for, what they see, especially in videos every day.
Right.
Again, I always say the proof is in the pudding. So, we have a great stud here, which is Deuce. It's from Brody. He's a grandson of Alonzo, but he's the son of Brody. That's why I always say we have the right recipe, man. And
we got the 11 herbs and spices, baby.
That's right. So with that said, we pride ourselves with that. But let's take a couple questions. So let me see here. Guillermo Sanchez, which is Memo. What made you decide to become a breeder or have stud services, besides being in love with the breed, and what separates you from the rest? What is something that you're doing everyone else is not?
That's a good question. And I like that profile picture. Wow. Because, I compete too. You've been to a couple of my shows, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a guy that owns one of our dogs, Capo, and we
Yeah.
just did a podcast on him, Yvonne and Capo just recently. So again, the proof is in the pudding. They have a great dog.
So the question, what makes you decide? So what makes you decide to become a breeder? Okay, so here's the deal. We have more than enough of breeders to pick from to buy a dog, right?
Yep.
But we don't have more than enough stud dogs to pick from. And generally, what happens when people buy dogs and they have a female, they have to go back to the actual breeder who they got the dog from to get stud service.
Yep.
What I try to do is provide something totally separate. I don't have any females in my house except my woman and my 2 cats, right? So I stay in my lane because I know actual breeders, that's a lot of work, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not home enough. That's some sleepless nights in Seattle type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So for me, it's like I wanted to separate myself. Now, let's say now that I have 2 good studs, I'm separated now. What makes me even more separated, that hardly anybody else is doing on a continuous basis. All of my males have to get a title, have to get a protection title, have to get an obedience title, because what that does, see, everybody got a nice male. I know some dogs probably look better than mine. But what that motherfucker made of,
yeah,
pressure, is the difference. It's almost like a woman that has a nice big boyfriend, a nice big husband, and she feels protected. That's why a lot of women date guys who are taller than them, because they want to feel protected. It's a mental thing. Even though a guy they marry or date is the same height, ideally, you can't have it. They can't have everything, but ideally, they want a guy twice their size in height.
Sure.
In width, and they
And
want
again, that's a proven stud. They're going through the process. They're getting titled. They're doing all the health checks and everything else that
right.
needs. And that's why I say that standard of excellence that we look for in our studs.
Right. So for me, that's this question: what are something of things you're doing that nobody else? Well, first of all, there's not anybody else that I know of that only has studs. A lot of people who have male studs, they also have Frenchies. They also have other breeds. And of those other breeds, they're actually providing puppies, right? So I'm in my own lane. All I have is males. And I don't have other breeds that are of the opposite sex, and I'm selling puppies.
Yeah.
So anybody who comes and get a dog or breed with me, they know there's a high probability that the puppies, the offspring, is gonna have some workability in them. And that's all I can provide. So so when Guillermo asked me a question, the proof is in the pudding. We got the 11 herbs and spices, and we built this shit where we didn't got to talk about it.
Yep.
Most of these working Dobies out here west of the Mississippi, even on the East Coast, look at the pedigree. My name's in there. King of Darkness.
Yep.
Red Bull, King of Darkness. Everybody know that's Alonzo.
That's right.
Indian Dacker. Everybody know that's Bro. You keep looking. So, but this is why I make stud service reasonable, affordable, and accessible, because Mark, and I know these dogs are good for no more than 8 years. And before then, you got to start looking for another one. It's like the NFL, man.
Sure. You got to replace them.
So you want to be able to see, my thing is, I've always wanted people to enjoy what I got. I don't want to be the only guy with a yellow Corvette on the street and won't tell you what dealership. I don't mind sharing.
Yeah, enough to go around.
Because I know within some kind of minute serendipity of your life, that dog is going to bring something to you that nobody can fabricate. And if I can get you a puppy from something that's going to die for you, let's make it happen.
That's right.
Let's make it happen. In the Bible, it says we are the keepers of the beast. and we're gonna do that.
That's right. OG
Now,
dog man.
right. So for me, I wanna show my hood, okay. But for me, I'm only in competition with myself because I am only as good as my dogs are.
Yeah.
All I can do is provide the best training, the best food, the best health care, the best positive aspects of their life. That's all I can do.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, people either gonna love it or they're not.
Yep. And that's why I strictly use you for my females, because I know what I'm going to get. You know,
Absolutely.
I use Deuce as my internal stud. If they're out of the pedigree, but if I do have the same pedigree dogs, they're going to you.
Yeah. And
Strictly.
and as I get other studs that come into the country, when these other ones get older, I'm gonna run it through you. Say, hey, this is what I'm working on.
Right.
And I don't make it years ago, 8, 9 years ago, because there was so many haterade motherfuckers out there. Like there was a guy, I'm not gonna call his name. He's got beef with me. I got the buns for it if he got the beef. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying at one point that my dogs got AIDS and I didn't import the dog. And I'm like, wow, dogs get AIDS now? It's like, wow, that's crazy, right? And there was so much. I'm like, this dude don't know me. It's like, he don't even know my last name. I said, he think I'm east of the 110. I said, dude, I'm an educated cat. I said,
Yeah.
you can't talk down to me and expect it's going to be cool to make yourself look good. I said, I'm cut different here. I'm not from this town. And what that did for me, it made me do better.
Sure.
It motivated me. So he really created a monster.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of the day, I'm still a man where I can forgive. I never forget. And I would do business with him today if he called me and said, hey, I want to use your mail. Because I have to somehow learn to not keep hatred and anger. And in this Doberman community, man, there's some finicky ass people out there. And if you ain't doing it the way they want to do it, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now let's go on to our next question, because I did see something that they were asking you. Have you seen the dog Huskar from the UK?
Never heard of them. Let's
Cal
Google that right quick.
213.
Google it right quick. I never heard of Huskar.
Let me see.
Just type in Huskar Doberman. I never heard of them. And
Yeah.
not saying they don't come out there, but a lot of good Dobermans don't come from the UK.
Where right now are you importing from, if you are looking?
I stick to Eastern Europe, like maybe Romania, or I stick to Russia.
Yeah, because you do have a plug, right? You have someone working for you and always looking out for you.
I have a guy, and I've plugged him now because for many years, Mike has always been silent. He has a website. That's how I found him 10, 11 years ago. That's how I found Alonzo. That's how I found Brody. And the Europeans over there use his website to promote promote their litters, their studs, and everything. We started chopping it up. And if he doesn't highly recommend them, I'm not dealing with it. And it was one situation where I almost questioned our relationship, but it wasn't his fault. I was gonna get a dog from this breeder, and the dog was named, I named him Royce.
Mm-hmm.
It was from a woman named Christina. I'll put the name out there, don't give a shit. And because this is what happened to me. And somehow, because it's really hard to wire money over there, man. It's like Western Union be flipping out when people send money to Russia and it gets kicked back. And
Yeah.
there's so much fraud going on. It's like the US ain't letting the money go. It's just a lot of bullshit, right? You got to go to the bank and try to let the bank do it and shit. And so I asked Mike, I said, well, what kind of titles this dog got? And he said the dog got an IP, I call it IGP2. I said, okay. So because I knew the trainer is from Terraline. Terraline is Brody's bloodline too. So I knew the trainers. I was like, there's some real trainers with real dogs because they got Dobermans too, right? And you guys look up Terraline because the breeders, the husband is 6'5" and the wife is 6'2" and they're blonde headed, typical German. And I'm like, there's some great photos of this dog doing like bark and hold working, flying for the sleeve. I said, where the fucking videos though?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you spend all this money doing all these professional photoshops, and I don't see one video of an obedience, one video of a BH or any video of the IGP-1 or the 2. I mean, at some point, you're going to videotape the tracking practice or something, right?
Something. Mm-hmm.
So he sent me what she sent him, which is all these certificates of the IGP-1, IGP-2. I was like, oh shit, here we go. You ain't got one video of this dog training for a protection title, but you got a certificate.
Mm-hmm.
You got the trophy. You got the certificate saying you got them. That don't work for me because everybody knows. First of all, Doberman, any dog cannot even compete for a BH until they're 16 months of age. Between that time, you are doing a lot of videos of their progression.
Mm-hmm.
I saw none. And somehow the shit got fucked up where the money didn't get wired right or they kicked it back. And now, the dog price goes up because the shipping goes up because the weight of the dog increases.
Yep.
By that time, it was like $8,000. So, oh shit. I ain't paying $8,000 for no dog.
Mm-hmm. Which is not guaranteed proven that you haven't.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, wait a minute. And the father's suspect to me now? So no. So again, people, do your research. If they say both parents are titled, most of these Europeans got some shit on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Even the ZTP1, the ZTP title, that shit is on YouTube. And that's a simple protection title. It's almost like a PDC.
Yep.
Basically, the shit is on leash, but it's a protection title.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't got nothing of the one. Okay, you didn't do the IGP-1 on video or no tracking. So you said, I'm going to record IGP-2. That was a bad sign.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to Cal's question, and let's check out this next level Dobermans, which is from the UK.
Where? That's in the UK?
Yeah, this is the Huskar.
Okay.
Now it looks like he has some dock diving. He's doing a little dock diving there.
So he's a trained protection dog with no titles. And she's trained him, or he's trained him to run through water, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm noticing one thing about him that I don't like. I mean, he's a great dog, don't get me wrong. It seems like he's short, really short. But then all these dogs look short when you got a 6'4", 6'3" decoy.
Decoy, yeah, exactly.
He's got nice markings. Now, he looks like a nice size there. Yeah, he's a good sized boy. Yeah. And you can tell, too, sometimes how big they're going to be when they got them thick tails. The thick tails is bone structure.
Sure.
So, yeah. Yeah, so
that's Huskar.
Yeah, so he's a protection. Like he's almost police trained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not nice dog.
Yeah,
I'm
not familiar with him. I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
Now Memo has another question here. Have any of you reached out and talked to Von Dodishoff, Doberman Kennel? I'm not familiar with them either.
Sound like
I'm not sure if they're in Europe.
Yeah, where are they?
Not sure. So yeah, maybe Memo, if you know where they're located at, maybe we can
send a link.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of kennels out there that's pretty good, Mark. But you would get so confused. And I always say, go with your gut feeling. Mm-hmm. So I tend to go with people who I have dealt with before. Because when you try to deviate from somebody totally new, sometimes it don't turn out the way it's supposed
Yeah,
to.
and you don't know what you're gonna get.
Right.
Yeah. So, any other questions out there that we can answer or help you guys with?
Well, Kels had one.
Kels had another one.
Kels 2133. He said,
What
what sport
sport
are
are
you
you
gonna
going into with both?
Well, that's a good question. So I know he's ready for the PDC whenever PSA has a trial out here. So he's already dialed in for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's his shit. But I'm thinking about the street league thing that Oscar and his guys have started, which is really cool.
Yep.
But I'm a little bit biased because the entry level is called the EL, entry level obedience, is almost like a level 2 PSA scenario where you got 4 decoys in all full bite suit gear. They line up in single file line, and then they split like the Red Sea, and the dog ain't supposed to respond until they split, and then he's supposed to run through those dogs and come into a heel position.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, Canine Street League is going to test your dog.
I don't listen. If it was just all bite work, I ain't got no problem with it. But you trying to tell me my boy can't eat none of those decoys that's moving around these padded suits, man, that's just going to take a lot of training.
Yeah, exact.
And with Bo, he's not like Casanova or Deuce where he takes pressure. You can't put the prong on Bo. I know that from experience now. You got to put the string on his ass. Because you put the prong on him, he loads up and he will bite you like he bit me. Mm-hmm. So the prong won't work for every dog. And I had to learn that. But with him, we had to figure out if I was to do that sport, how do we do corrections without him taking it the wrong way and loading up on me? Because I want to be the handler.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that's the best way. Initially, we have our trainers, handling our dogs, but at one point, they have their own, dogs to handle. They have other people's dogs to handle. And I think it's the most benefit for you as an owner to bond with your dog. Yeah. So as being a handler, that's going to be the best way that, you're going to get, through these tests and trials.
It's a double-edged sword though, Mark, because when I had more time on my hand 8 years ago, I'm the one that put the BH and the IPO1 on Alonzo. Mm-hmm. I was training at Whoop Games over there in Gardena, and I had time. But as you get older and you get inundated with work and you get inundated with other responsibilities, I can't go training 3 nights a week.
Sure.
So I did let other trainers title my dog, which is Al Benuelos, because he has the time.
Yeah, but do you see the difference in the dog when you do get him back? Do you know all the how do I say the training that say Al puts into him, and are you consistent with that same training when he does?
That's a really good question, man, because Al tells me, because I don't want to fuck up his imprints, right?
That's right.
Right. So when I do stuff, I do something totally different. Like case in point, I take Casanova and Casanova has a BH now. He should have his IGP1 by fall. But what I do with Casanova is I either do rag work, right, or I do table work. People who know what table work is, Google it and you'll see. When a dog gets on a table, either gonna fight or flight. And those are the things that you want to expose him to be in different scenarios that has nothing to do with what he's doing with Al, right? And now that also, it doesn't build a bond, but it makes the bond stronger that you in the dog fight with him. You're right there next to him in the whole situation.
Yeah.
So I do things totally different. I do ball retrieval while I'm throwing the ball. I do different shit. And the reason why he does obedience so well with Al's not his friend. Al is not kissing him on his head, right? So he has a different level of respect, and that's why me and you, when we go see our dogs get titled, we can't be nowhere near the field because when they smell it,
they're gonna be beyond the fence.
They're gonna be like, man, fuck this shit on the field. I'm going to see my mom and daddy.
Yes, sir.
That's why When
That's
Brody
facts
got
right
his,
there.
when Brody got his IPO too, I had to wait down the street, bro, until I got a text from Pam, Al's wife, said, "You can come up now."
Yeah.
Because had he smelled me or saw me, all that money and training would have went out the fucking window.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we ain't got money to blow.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, as a good trainer, like our primary trainer, which is Oscar Moore, with our dogs, he always lets us know, hey, don't do this with them, do this with them at home. Make sure you're doing this, because I always want to make sure that, like you said, where I'm not imprinting them in a different behavior where
Yeah.
it's going to mess up the training when he goes back to elevate it. So yeah, so it's a great thing, man, when you have someone in your corner like that giving you strong, good advice, to make sure you
And
take
that's true.
your dogs to the next
I mean,
level.
you found Oscar. I gave you Oscar, right?
Actually, it was funny, and I can tell you that story. You recommended a breeder out in Serbia when we imported Artemis from
You, you know
Dalnasis.
that breeder owned Brody's father, Arthur von Murkison.
Yeah,
So that was the breeder who I recommended you to because he owned Arthur.
yeah,
Arthur
yeah,
is Brody's father. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah,
So what
so we
happened?
were at the airport, me and Felicia, and we were actually sitting there at the airport at the cargo station, and I happened to see this guy sit next to me, and we're chit chatting and stuff, and he goes, "Hey, I think I know you," and I said, "I think I know you." So we start chit chatting. He goes, "Hey, man, I have Brody in the car right now. I'm training him." And so I went out, I checked out Brody, I gave him some love, and then the next thing I know, this guy's texting me, hitting me up on Instagram. Hey, dude, make sure you don't go through customs. Don't tell him that you're a breeder. He's giving me all this solid advice to make sure that I come out good with Artemis. So from there, man, Oscar was my man. I knew he always had my best interest at heart and our dogs. So that's why we always go with him. So again,
Yeah,
he's always going to do the right thing by your dog and put the dog first.
yeah, I've seen Oscar go from because he used to be a Kenny Corso guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember watching him train a little bit, and I'm just amazed how he's taking his training, his business
Yep.
to new heights, bro. And that's what it's really all about: is improving each other,
That's right.
learning from each other, and hoping for the best. And all the guys who are hungry, who are driven, who are relentless, like my tattoo says,
Mm-hmm.
you're only going to go one direction, and that's up,
Yep. Yep.
right? And people like Oscar has went to the roof. Al has always been an ambassador of dog training.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Hansen,
That's right.
the best female trainer west of the Mississippi. And ain't nobody gonna fucking say, "Oh, I know another female trainer."
Tell me about
No, dude, she's teaching Al shit sometime.
it. Yeah, she's awesome, and she's a great person. She's a great
Right,
friend. She's always putting the dog first. So that's awesome.
right. And so and that's another thing, man, with this dog shit, man. You got to get a good breeder, man. I mean, good trainer.
Mm-hmm.
There are some good trainers, like there's some bad trainers. I know some trainers personally that will sandbag you. They will have your dog doing the same shit for a whole year and a half, not challenging your dog, not making your dog learn new things. Because some of these trainers are like personal trainers. Let me give you how it's so similar. I'm in fitness competition. I have a coach. But before then, I was regular, right? So I would notice that these personal trainers were always training these clients. But that was it. They give you a training scenario. Tell you, eat clean. That was ambiguous. Eat clean, right? Little did I know that fitness is 70% food. What you eat is how your body responds.
Yep.
Knowing what your basal metabolic rate is.
You heard that expression, shit in, shit out?
Right. Knowing what caloric deficit means.
Yeah.
Right. But they didn't want to tell their clients that diet is the most important aspect of this, because you know why? They wanted them to keep coming back. That's sandbagging.
Mm-hmm.
So the money was more important than the progression of the client. And that's why when people go to Oscar or go to Al or Larry, don't bitch and complain about what they charging, because you're gonna get exactly what you actually want. You want a dog that's trained. You don't want somebody that's training them for years and years and years. I mean, fuck, you gonna train for 4 years?
Yeah.
They want to train your dog and go to the next dog.
Yeah, because we have goals and we have a timeline that we
And
need
these
to
dogs
get
have a
done.
lifespan.
That's right. That's right. You know, so that's awesome. Any more questions?
There was one right here. Kel said something again. Kel's had another question up. You pop it up.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Which one?
It says Kel's. It's at 707. Yeah. Said. And just wanted to say thank you for always sharing the Dobie game with the world. I'm always on here trying to soak up knowledge. Hey, you know what, Kel? That's what this is all about, right, Mark? This
That's
is
right.
all about
That's right.
educating each other, not keeping secrets, letting people know what the answers to the test are.
That's right. Be very transparent.
Yeah, because you remember 10, 15 years ago, the breeders who had this Dobie game locked up, limited papers, wasn't telling you nothing about the pedigree, blah, blah, blah. I want 3,500. I got sucked into that shit, right? So now it's like, it's a price. Here's your paperwork. You got my number. Your family. Here's a
Yep.
T-shirt.
Yeah, exact, right?
You know, but before then, limited this and not telling you this, and no, you got to prove this. I know sometimes, like this one breeder in Arizona had this. It's called king size Dobermans or something. This shit was weird, but I bought a female from them many years ago. And I asked him, I said, where the dog pedigree from? Where was the dog? Oh, I don't know, somewhere in Europe. Okay, you don't know. And I got sucked in, man. I got sucked in.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's why we started this podcast to you know, because as you know, we're preservation breeders, right? We want to promote the breed, right? We want to educate people so they won't make the same mistakes down the line as maybe sometimes other people have done. And we want to make sure that, you know, they make the wisest choice based on our experience, you know, and from other people's experiences. So I think, you know, this podcast, you know, again, we call it the learning podcast because we want to learn together. Because for me, I've been breeding for the last 6, 7 years, and there's still a lot to learn. And that's why I'm always coming to you, because you're my mentor. You know, you always, you know, direct me in the right path when I have questions, and you know, making sure that we're always, you know, taking our dogs to the next level.
we got a good question, Guillermo. Pop that one up. I want to touch bases on that.
Yes, sir.
So Guillermo says thoughts on backyard breeders. Now, Guillermo, people have used the word backyard breeder as a negative aspect. Okay, here's the deal. 15, 20 years ago, you can go to the motherfucking mall, buy a dog in the window, right? You remember that? You can buy pets at a store. Those pets came from backyard breeders. Backyard breeder, to me, has a negative overtone, but it's the most organic aspect. You know, because here's the deal. When you buy a dog from somebody who is breeding in their backyard, that means they're doing it on their own. It's not mass produced. They have maybe 4 or 5 litters a year, not some shit like in Kimbertal where they're having 30 bitches and selling puppies, wolves, and Rottweilers. What are we talking here? They got, and I'm not knocking Kimbertal on their game because they had the game up for a long time. You could pay with a credit card. They had 15 litters at one time. They had a breeders program where if you live close to Pennsylvania, they would give you the female free, but when she turns a year or something old, you got to bring her back to get her bred, and she has to have the puppies. Then they give you the female back all used up from that litter.
Wow.
So when you talk about backyard breeders, that's what you want. You want somebody that's doing it organically, who's doing it in their home, who's not doing it like selling famous Amos cookies at a factory.
Mass producing.
Yeah. So this backyard breeder has, that term came from haters.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, everybody else, if we're breeding, where are we breeding at a factory? Are we breeding inside of a warehouse? No, in our backyard with my family. God damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. In my extra room, in my
Yeah,
breeding room, my whelping room.
yeah. So, and where you sleeping next to them for
That's
2
right.
weeks,
That's
and
right.
these motherfuckers don't sleep for 7, 8 hours. They're yapping, and when
Yeah.
they one yap, all 12 of them yap.
That's why I have all this gray hair, man. From
So I'm like,
no sleep.
backyard breeders to me is realistically what you want. You want somebody who's breeding in their own home, not sending the shit at Kimbertal, not having 30 females, importing studs from Diatabello, and just slinging puppies. And here's the killer. They have a thing, Kimbertal had a thing on the website. It says superior size and then superior. You pay 25 for superior, and superior size pay 3. They had levels of this shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
And they never showed a picture of the female. They only had the sire up there. And they were still selling wolves and Rottweilers.
Yeah. And I think if you do your proper, research, you can tell the difference.
Yeah. And I don't know too many people. I don't know one person that has over 6 females.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who has 10, 12 females in California, and they just mass produce it.
Yeah.
Kimbertal, like I said, was the only one that I know that was banging it out like that.
Yeah.
I want to get from my dogs that I get from Russia, backyard breeder. She breeding her fucking ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have 3, and that's more than enough. It's crazy busy just with the 3.
And they only come in heat twice a year.
That's right. And we only breed once a year.
Yeah. So what's crazy is you got to look at it with Guillermo. You got to look at it from a bigger set of lens, where people who make those tones negative because you didn't buy from their ass. Some hater shit.
Yeah.
That's Kale's got a good question. What's the standard price for a Doberman right now? Now that is a broad question. Because are we talking about full AKC or limited? Are we talking about ears cropped or not? Are we talking about full European or half European, half American? I would say the going rate for a full European with full AKC without the ear cropping is between 2,800 to 3,100, right? It's a give or take. Sometimes 2,500 without the ears, all the way up to 3,500. But those are the going prices, and that should always include full AKC. That's my personal opinion. Breeders may want to have a little bit of leash on your ass and say you get limited, but here, at the end of the
we
day,
provide full AKC, and like you said, our average price is between 3 and 3,500. That's the standard price, and that comes with, tails, ears, dew claws, all of it. So
pop up Guillermo's question. Thought it was used more for people that just bred their dogs for easy cash, not caring for the dog. I mean, they
that's why you can tell the difference.
Yeah, they lacing this shit all inclusive, like everything to give it a negative overtone. Backyard breeders, I want a backyard breeder. When you pick a backyard breeder, make sure you're picking one that is doing the proper test. These are simple ass questions that you can ask all backyard breeders.
Yep.
So,
and again, when you do reach out to a breeder, and like myself, people are going to have a lot of questions.
As they should.
Yeah, and I'm here to help, especially with the new owners, and so I take time to make sure that we express, and answer all the questions appropriately, because we want to make sure that our dogs are going to the right home. Because the last thing we want to do is put a dog in a home where, next thing you know, that dog needs to be rehomed because that person wasn't experienced enough to have that dog, right? So, the ones that don't have questions are the ones I'm a little weary about.
You know what's crazy? We were talking about this before we went live early this morning. And when the person hit me up on Instagram, because I don't know how it happened, man, but I got almost 1 million followers. I don't know, man. It's bananas, right? And I don't have like professional camera equipment. I'm just popping shit up, using my cinematic. And one of the people said, "Hey, how much of your puppies usually go for?" I said, "Oh, between 25 to 3,500." Yeah, I said, "Here's a breeder's number," because I always send their links. I said, "I posted this shit on my page. Check them out. Contact them." Right?
Yeah.
He said, "Man, that's a lot of money." I said, "Well, you will pay 7,500 to 10,000 for a fucking Frenchie." He said, "Yeah, but that's a Frenchie." I said, "That means you're fucked up because they got skin problems. They can't breathe. They can't walk. They can't have babies natural. They can't even get pregnant natural." And you say that, but they're Frenchies. What does that mean? They can't fight for you. They can't. They're gonna die on you versus die for you. I'm like, this don't make no sense. It's like a well-bred dog, like my friend Dale. Dale Cunningham is a Rottie breeder, European Rottie. As a matter of fact, everybody, you know who Dale is. You just don't know who he is. The first Transformer movie that came out 15, 20 years ago, 15. Remember that part with Shia LaBeouf, that Roddy was chasing his ass? That's Dale's female. That was a female. That was Dale's dog. And Dale came to my house yesterday, and we talked about it. He said, "I saw this Akita walking down the street with the owner." I said, "Man, that's a nice looking dog." And Dale said, "I bet you paid between $2,500 to $3,500. He said, "You're damn right." Because see, now a well-bred dog, you can tell the quality of what they look like. If you got a problem paying $2,500 for any dog, you shouldn't be getting no dog because medical coverage is gonna cost you way more than that, homie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you can't afford to take care of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Guillermo, thanks guys. Always great soaking in information. I appreciate it. Mad love, dog. Mad love. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate all the questions, everything that that you guys need to learn from this podcast, and we appreciate you guys taking your time out. If there's any more questions, Gerald, if you want to talk about any more topics, if not,
oh, this is it, man. But if you ain't got no working lines, you're gonna almost 99% waste your time.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, you're gonna spend a lifetime of the dog being something that he's not. You better know. And don't forget, get the merch. He gives you a free T-shirt when you buy a dog. And listen, it's quality here. This you don't watch this motherfucker 1 or 2 times and it's like this. Right? Listen, a custom ink. This is quality shit.
That's right. That's right. That's where we go. Well, I appreciate your time, Gerald. I appreciate all the information that you have. It's always love. So again, if you ain't got no working line, you ain't wasting your time.
That's right. All right, Dan.
So I appreciate your time and talk to you soon, man. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.